Hello, and welcome to this segment of the Women in 3D Printing Next Gen AMA Career Interviews. My name is Sanjana Narayanan, and I'll be your host. In this series, I'll be introducing you to some of the most accomplished and inspiring women in additive manufacturing, so you can learn about what it takes to build a career in the industry. Some students aspire to one day be the CEO of a company. But have you ever wondered what that position entails in the additive manufacturing industry? In today's segment, we'll be hearing from Lindsey Zindroski, the CEO of SNL Creative. Lindsey has spent 8 years at SNL Creative, growing her capabilities and her business into boutique, digital, and manufacturing services. Throughout her career in additive manufacturing, Lindsey has worked in design, prototyping, and manufacturing of goods for luxury brands, toys, art collectibles, fine arts, consumer products, automotive, themed entertainment, and film. Keep watching to hear about Lindsey's experience with 3D printing and how you can pursue a career like hers. Okay. Hi, Lindsey. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here with you.
Of course. So to start off, could you tell us about your first introduction to 3D printing and 3D design?
Yes, I got introduced to 3D printing. I was developing a consumer product, a toy, and the toy itself had a need for customization. And my husband was an early adopter of 3D printing technology. So he kind of said, hey, you should look at this technology and we should see if this is a viable option. And it was great. I bought my first printer was a Stratasys PolyJet 260V. Just a really great way to get introduced to 3D printing. Very office friendly, easy to use kind of technology. So, started printing these little models, these toy designs that I was working on. And yeah, that was it. It was amazing to just kind of see that first print come off and how good it looked and the resolution. And I was just blown away at that point.
That's great. And what are some of your main roles as the Chief Executive Officer at SNL Creative?
SNL. So SNL, I'm the CEO at SNL. We're a small business, truly small business boutique service provider here in LA. So my roles and responsibilities here, I have a hand in all the day-to-day operations here. Everyone on the additive team, the digital engineering and sculpting teams, fabrication, finance, everybody reports up to me. So I'm involved in everything in the day-to-day, and I also know how to do, run all the machines here and all the other manufacturing processes that I have here in-house. So it's not unusual that we could be like short-staffed or, be really busy, and I can get back there and actually work with my hands again, which is fun.
That's great. And what do you like most about 3D printing and 3D design?
There's so much, right? What I love about 3D printing is it's a great tool to explore so many different ideas. And that's really how I got started. You have an idea and you have this tool essentially that can help that come to fruition. I love that that there's a variety of applications that it can be used for, that you can have a career in 3D printing even if you're not an engineer, even if you're, the industry itself has a lot of diverse backgrounds. And so I think it's a really excellent bridge into engineering fields or manufacturing that may not be as obvious, right? I think it can bring in more people who maybe want sort of a non-traditional role, but they're interested in manufacturing, and they're interested in design. So it's great. It's been a great technology to learn over the years.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that point. I think it's really a technology that can be applied to almost
Mhm.
every industry, and I think that's one of the greatest advantages of 3D printing. And could you describe some of your favorite 3D printing or 3D design projects?
Yeah, I guess I'll just kind of go to, I mean, I find something that I really love in every project. Every project is an opportunity to um, have a new experience, to gain more experience, to learn. Um, I guess the ones that kind of stick in my mind are probably the most recent. So this year, um, I did some fine art fabrication and leveraged my Fortis machine here to print a large sculpture. I had wanted to, you know, scale my 3D printing capabilities for a long time. And I think a lot of people in the industry talk about that. I mean, for me, some people want to scale smaller, right? Or just like nano printing or something. But we're always, how can the technology scale to do larger parts, have more capabilities, and open up that application. So I wanted to do some large scale parts. I had the opportunity to do that with this fine art sculpture. It ended up being 5.5 feet. So large sculpture, but it was beautiful, and it was a challenge for me. So I typically like projects that are challenging, that give me some kind of new skill set. So or bring an opportunity to work with somebody that I admire, who is really talented. So had a good opportunity on that project, to work with different paint methods and fabrication methods. And working with artists is always really interesting for me, because they have, this vision, these beautiful visions for their work. And so trying to meet that expectation and do a translation, right? Because not all fine art is sculpture work. But yeah, that one really kind of was a longer project, and I enjoyed that one. I also got an opportunity to dabble into some 3D metal 3D printing with that project, which was cool. I ran into an issue. Part of the project, I did a sculpture on the FDM, and we ended up, to replicate, we used fiberglass molding, but I did some aluminum casting as well. And I 3D printed a small stem, mainly for strength, out of aluminum. So just kind of going through that whole process, learning about that technology, the materials that are available. It's also such an innovative, metals technology is new, and it's innovative. There's a lot of people working in the technology, and a lot of machines being built. So that was a good opportunity, and a good way for me to kind of mix some different, 3D printing and fabrication skills all in one project, which is my favorite thing. So
Yeah,
sculpt some fine art sculptures. Yeah, I mean, there's so many, and I try to find something interesting about every project I do. I mean, I think it's interesting to build prosthetics. I think it's really interesting to, which we did for clients this year, it's really interesting for me to be able to build something that I know is going to be useful, and also parts that are going to be production worthy. I printed some production parts out of carbon fiber on my Fortis 450 this year, for a 3D camera rig, which was really interesting. Really cool to be able to, build a part, need precision, validate and apply an application like light weighting, with carbon fiber, to a project, and put it all together, lots of components, and then see it used, in production, put together with all the technology inside, and watch these guys with these big camera rigs. So that was an exciting project as well.
That's really cool. And I really like that you've gotten to experiment with different types of materials and different types of printers. I think that's really great. And looking back, what are some things that you wish you'd known when you just started out in the additive manufacturing industry?
I didn't know anything about additive manufacturing when I started. I mean, I've been operating the company for the last 8 years as a service provider. So, but the 4 years before that, I was just doing product development, and I was just using it as a resource and as a tool. So everything I know now, I wish I knew back then. But just, you know, so many things. I mean, if I could think of every time, I mean, from the little things, right? If I could think about if I had known, more applications, or I had, maybe more fundamental, understanding of the technologies, but it doesn't, that's part of it has been part of the adventure for me. To sort of, be able to dive deep into something that interests me, into a 3D printing technology or material or application, that's interesting, and be able to learn about it. But I do wish that there had been more, classes on additive manufacturing before I got involved, which I know now that's offered at some universities, and there's a lot of companies out there that are educating on the technology, and you can take courses. MIT has a course, and so I think that would have been helpful to me to sort of wrap my hands around everything that I was doing once I sort of decided, okay, I'm using this as a tool to make things, but now I want to see what else it can do, and I want to have a diverse amount of machines, and be able to diversify the clients and the industries that I work in.
That's really great insight. And do you have any advice for students that are looking to pursue a career like yours?
Yeah, I think it's important, to like what you do, to find interest in it, to make your own path. I think my personal career is maybe in additive is maybe not as traditional, as others. Work for an additive company, or in a field that you enjoy, and gain some business acumen. I did come into the industry with some good business acumen, and I think that helped me along the way. And be a lifelong learner. Know that if you come into the industry, that there's a lot to learn, and that's not necessarily overwhelming, but it's fascinating, and that you could have a long career where you're constantly learning and growing, and that can be really rewarding.
Yeah, I really love your point about being a long-time learner. I think
Hmm.
it really helps you keep your passion and like
Hmm.
continue keep you motivated if you're really if you keep learning about the things that you're working on.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
this does conclude our interview for today. Lindsay, I
Thank
really
you.
want to thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for tuning in for our interview with Lindsay. For more information about women in 3D printing, be sure to visit our website. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button below. We hope to see you for our next segment.